Hello everybody. So in this modern world, right, we use a lot of products and services from different companies. So maybe you all have a smartphone and use a lot of apps, right? So not every app or not every product that you use is your favorite. There could be one or two which is your favorite, right? So let's say you visit a lot of restaurants. Not all the restaurants are favorite for you. There would be like only one or two that's close to your heart. That could not be just because of the food. Maybe it's more than just the food. Maybe the hospitality they have, the cleanliness, the vessels, the ambience, the lighting they have, the locality, everything matters, right? So that is what we're going to see, how that we are going to apply that kind of an experience thing in your digital world, right? So before that, let's see your statistics. So 64% of the customers, they feel customer experience more than the pricing that they're going to pay for the product. So I think that is the main reason that we all use Apple products, right? We know it costs us lakhs, but we still use it because it has a superior customer experience, and that is what we opt for. So is it really easy for all the companies to give a superior, seamless experience? Not really, right? If they have given you a superior or a nice, seamless, unified experience, every company would have been your favorite, right? So, but we are very picky. We have just only one or two that are like really favorite and close to our heart. So that is not really possible for all the companies. Why? Because there are lots of touch points where the customer and the company meet. So let's say you take any company, they'll be having a website, they'll be having a mobile app, and then they'll be having a retail store, they'll be having a kiosk, and they'll be showing up ads on TVs or on Facebook news feeds. And they'll be sending you paper bills. There's a lot of touch points that the customer and the companies meet, and then it's really tough for the company to make all those touch points look seamless. And then when the user transacts between each touch points, it's really hard for the company to make it seamless and look all the same, right? So the reason being, the customers they keep jumping between channels when they are doing a transaction. So let's say you are shopping, let's say you're browsing on your Facebook feeds page, you see a Reliance Trends promotional ad, right? And then you click on it, it'll take you to their homepage. And then you browse for the product, and then you feel that you're not really comfortable about the material or the size. You close the website, and then you go to the retail store and then search for the same product. Now you are jumping from Facebook to their retail, their app, and then you go to the retail store. There are lots of touch points, 3 touch points, right, for one single transaction. And then the company has to take into account that you guys are going to jump into different channels, but you have to make them feel like it's all the same and seamless, and it's going to be the same experience. But that is what the companies are trying to do it. So the main solution that we are trying to provide is you have to forget about products, forget about building individual products like websites or apps. You have to do a ecosystem thinking. So you have to think the entire company as an ecosystem where all the products will be fitting into it, and then there will be a seamless and a unified experience that will flow across all the touch points wherever the customer and the company meet, right? So I'll tell you how do you go about it. So when I talk about ecosystem, I cannot do this without talking about Apple. So all the Apple users, I'm sure you know how your devices and your services are combined into an incredibly relevant experience, right? I'm sure if you are using a MacBook and iPhone, you know how your iTunes work seamlessly in one device and the other. You can copy a text from your MacBook and then paste it in your iPad. It's so seamless, you don't feel like you're using 2 different devices. Even all your cloud data can be accessed in any devices. It is all the same, right? So that is what the ecosystem means. And it's not only about using the product. It's about how they create the value out of it, right? So let's say Google, who's catching up with the game. So I use Google Drive a lot. It's not about just using the Google Drive. I feel a sense of trust that I have on Google Drive. Whatever I put in Google Drive, I feel that I can access it anywhere at any time, and it's going to be reliable for me, and it's not going to crash or it's not going to let me down. So that is the most important thing that you have to give your customer to make your company as their favorite. So so let's say your company has a few existing products and services. So how do you build an ecosystem out of it is what we are going to see. So we have tried out a few methods. It's all known, but we have just made some tweaks in steps, and then we have found a good outcome of it. I'm going to share what we have done it. So the first step we have to do is identify users. So every company has a set of users, right? So you'll be having your employees, you'll be having your customers, your sales representatives, your supplier boys, and something like that. So find out all your users, identify them and list them out. And the next thing is that you'll have to identify your channels. Channels meaning your touch points. It could be your, your websites, your mobile app, your kiosk, your point of sale, your physical stores, your paper bills, your pamphlets that you give out for advertisements. All the touch points that you and your customer is going to come together is what the channels are, right? So you have to list them out. So with the user list and the customer touch point list, you start building cross-channel customer journeys. So cross-channel meaning the customers have to keep, you build a journey where the customer keeps jumping between channels, not like, he starts from mobile app and then completes the entire transaction in mobile app. You have to build a journey where, the user keeps, he starts into mobile app, goes into the website, and then again he goes into the physical store, calls your representatives. It has to be totally jumping, it has to be totally absurd, where it may not be even realistic, but still have to do it so that you know how your information is going to flow in all your experiences, and then you can find out the gaps between them. So once you build these kind of cross-channel customer journeys, you start analyzing the flows, and then you'll come up with all the frictional points where when the customer starts, customer jumps from one channel to another, you will see what are the gaps that are there between them, what are the missing information, or what is wrong with, when the user comes from a mobile app to a desktop, what really is the problem between those two channels, and then when you proceed with the flow, you'll see a lot of frictional points in every flow. And then this is very usual, so you just need to add some delightful moments. So for example, let's say when a user is going to add some products in your cart, and then he is not checking out, he just abandons the cart, and when he calls your call center, the call center rep has to be able to retrieve the cart rather than asking you what products did you add and then again searching for the product and making the delay. So those kind of delightful moments. Or it's just about adding your name in your home page, which makes you more personalized, right? So let's say in a search bar you'll be having a hint text, just saying that search for anything here. You could say, hey Prashanth, what are you looking for? So that is like making me more personal with your company. So these are the very tiny delightful moments that will cause a great impact for your, for a business. And future proofing. This is also a very important thing that you have to follow. Future proofing is basically you don't drastically change your UI at times and then you give a shock to the user. You have to anticipate what is going to come, and then you have the space given in your product so that when you change your UI gradually, it accommodates into it so that there is a seamlessness in your experience. So we'll take an example and then we'll see how it works. So let's take an example of a telecom company, so like Airtel or Vodafone, or let's say my company Verizon. So let's see how we go about it, right? So as I said, so let's pick a persona from the user groups that we nailed down. So let's take so this is a new guy who's coming to our product or maybe our company. So let's give him a name, Jason Smith, and a little bit of information about who he is, what he does, and then a description of how his life is. So basically he's up to date with this technology, and then let's say he gets together with his buddies every weekend, and then his motive is to look for a reliable home Wi-Fi, right? So that is his motive, and then we have some statistics about him, his annual income, what are the brands that reflect his character, and his passion towards trekking. So this is the persona that you have identified, and then I've put it. And the next thing is that as a new user, what are the stages that he is going to come to me, and then me and the company and the user is going to interact. So let's say he's going to discover my product, and then he's going to design on it. He's deciding that he's going with it, and then he buys it, and then he starts using it, and then we'll bill him for the usage, and then there is a post-sale support. So these are the stages that the user and the company would be interacting, right? And once you do it, so let's start putting out scenarios. So on the discovery phase, let's say Jason is like walking from his office to his home, and then he's handed over a pamphlet where he sees a lot of exciting offers, and then he finds it really interesting, and then the offers are competitive. He wants to explore it. So that is one way of discovering a product. Maybe if you had Facebook ads, if you have any promotional banners that you put up on your city, so everything comes under discovery. So you have to build different customer journeys for every point that you have, right? And you build the entire journey here. So the main thing that you have to take into consideration is you have to do it cross-channel. So if you see here, he starts from the pamphlet, and then he moves to the desktop, and then again he calls the call center, and then he uses our setup guide to set up his the product, and then we send him a paper bill. So all these touch points has to be similar. So I mean, all these touch points has to be seamless and unified. So that is the reason we are like building a cross channel. So once you build it, so this is how your entire your customer journey would look like here in different stages. So this is a snapshot of your first customer journey for a newcomer, right? So once you do this, you pick up one scenario and then you start analyzing it. Let's say, as I told you already, the user has got a pamphlet, right, from while he was walking home, and then he finds the offer exciting, and then he goes home and then he logs into a site and he looks for the pricing, right? So let's take this and see how we can analyze the flow. So this is how we analyze it. So I put my scenario on top, and then the left side shows where he comes from, and then right side is where he goes from this stage, right? So now you're clear from where the user is coming to this channel, and then where he goes after this, right? So what you have to do is you have to think about a little bit, where your information is coming from. So let's say, is the information sufficient for the user to take an informed decision? So this is what the pricing that is offered, I mean the packages that are offered for the customer, a better browsing package, a better streaming package, and better everything package. So is this enough for the user to really take a decision? And are there any hidden information that is more important? Let's say if he uses a mobile application, are we hiding any information that is more visible in the desktop? So that is one thing that needs to be addressed. And does the pricing match? Let's say you have printed your pamphlet yesterday, and then the pricing is not reflected in your website. There is a mismatch in the pricing. That is not a seamless or a unified experience, right? Again, what he'll do is he'll call your call center and ask, why is there a mismatch? Am I going to get this offer or not? So that is what we are going to test it here. So you take up these scenarios, and then you see the relevant screens and start analyzing the channels. I mean the cross channels here, and you change your UI. So let's say you want to. This is just for an example. Let's say you have to put some additional information for it to look even more appealing, or to take an informed decision. So that is what you have to do here, and so on and so forth. You take every scenario here, and then you know where he comes from and then where he goes. So that is where your cross channel helps you a lot here, and so this is what you have to do. So you list all your findings, you identify all the opportunities that are there between all the channels when the user keeps hopping between channels, and then you bridge your gaps. And the scariest part is you have to repeat it for all the users. Like you have to keep repeating it for all the users, all the channels, and you keep juggling it, mix matching it, and then you make at least 3 or 4 journeys for every user, right? With all different scenarios and channels. So that you will be at least a 60% confident that you have covered at least all the most possible scenarios and the opportunities that you have to have a seamless experience in your business. For this, we have a hack here. So you could have something called a customer journey mapping playbook, where you can create your own persona cards that you have identified, and then you can create scenario cards. So your scenario cards can have your what are the things that you need to cover. What are the channels that you need to cover in the scenario, like 3 or 4 channels, cross channels, and then you randomly pick these 2, and then you play as a team, and then you start building various customer journeys, and then you test it across your products, and then you find all the gaps, you fill it up. So that is how easy it is. And the outcome. So let's say, what is the outcome of the entire thing is that what we find is there will be a 56% more of upsell and cross selling with this customer journey map testing. So you will know what are the potential pitfalls when the user is coming from a different touch point to other touch point. So it's it's a huge number. So 56% of upsell and cross sell is a huge percentage for every business. So yeah, and another interesting statistics is that 51% of customers, they will never do a business with you again if there is a negative impact on your first time experience, right? So it is not easy to acquire a new customer. So it's always cost effective to retain your existing customers than acquiring new ones, as per the statistics. So this is all that matters for every business. So I would like to tell again, don't build products, don't build platforms. Let's start building an ecosystem. Let's start designing an ecosystem for your companies with the existing products and services to make a smooth and an incredible experience. This is what Steve Jobs said finally. So he said, get close to your customers, so close that you know what they actually want, even before they recognize it themselves. So when you start getting into the shoes of the customer, you really know how they will be traversing through with your company in different channels. So when you keep getting closer with all your user journeys, so you'll keep knowing a lot of things that your customer is going to perform with your company, where you can merge the gaps and bring about a very incredible experience.